It's my privilege now to introduce a friend of mine to y'all.
I can't hear
Lou,
him.
for those who don't know him, is probably one of the most well-rounded individuals in his business. He's going to come tonight. He's going to share about 4 or 5 different concepts of the business, from property management right down to where to find the money, how to find the deals. He's going to hit some more on short sales. He is going to, for the next 2 hours, 2.25 hours, he is going to give you more information. You think you're on overload now, you wait till he gets through. So put your hands together and make Mr. Lou Brown feel welcome.
Thank you, Bo. Appreciate it. I got a lot to share with you tonight. Ron asked me to come, and I found out about this morning. And he says, "Can you come?" And I said, "Gee, I don't know. What do you want me to talk about?" He said, "You know what to talk about. You know what they want to hear. They want to hear how to make money." I said, "Okay, I've got that covered. I'll be glad to come." So that's when we decided to come on over tonight. So if I have to shuffle around a little bit to find everything I want to show you, it's only because I didn't have a lot of time to prepare, but I've got a lot of good information for you. Let me ask you a question. How would you like to own an autopilot cash machine that churns out money and works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you don't have to? Yeah, baby! All right. Now, isn't it true? Now, you just tell me, when you thought about getting involved in real estate, and you thought about what you wanted to have happen in your life, and you thought about what could be different in your life, just tell me if this is not what you were thinking. You want to go anywhere you want, anytime you want, stay as long as you like, and buy anything you want. How many of you want that deal? Yeah! Okay. Well, I've got a little thing to share with you. It's called Cash Now and Cash Flow Later. So we're going to get all your bases covered tonight on a plan of action, so that you can become just as successful in real estate as I've become. Now, I've been in this business for a while. Been doing this for 27 years. And frankly, I've learned a lot about what not to do. And I've learned a lot because it's cost me a lot of money. I've been to some serious seminars that have been like $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 seminars. And the problem is, I only learned one thing from that seminar. It wasn't like having a week of information. It was one slap in the face or kick in the pants. So I learned some things from that, and one of the things I learned is what not to do, and what to do about what I did that caused me to lose money. Because I want to be in a position so that whenever I make a mistake, I learn from that mistake and I never have to repeat it again. How many of you want to do it that way? Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. If you can bypass all the painful lessons that I've had, then you can get there much quicker than I got there. And I'm blessed by having had all those lessons, because it gave me the ability to share with you what not to do and what to do. Now, most of you think of 4 different profit centers when you think about real estate. You think about wholesaling for quick cash. You think about retailing for maximum profits. Think about seller financing, so that you can get your sellers to carry back financing instead of you paying for it. And you think about lease options and options for maximum leverage. Well, I'm going to share with you a few things tonight, because I'm going to give you some of my secrets. In fact, that's why I wore my Monopoly tie tonight. How many of you in here have played Monopoly before? How many of you are good at Monopoly? Yeah, baby. See, where I came from literally ground zero. I was raised by my mom. I was raised in a wartime style apartment. We had this brown commercial tile on the floor. We had these metal cabinets in the kitchen. We had one of these oil burning furnaces in the center of the apartment. I'm talking about casement windows that crank out. How many of you can identify with that place? That's where I came from. I lived there until I was 17 years old. Our dining table was a Samsonite card table. Now just think about this. You've seen those old Samsonite card tables with the bellies in the middle, right? And the metal chairs with no padding? That was my dining table till I was 17 years old. In fact, we worried when we had cream corn, I was afraid it was going to slide off the plate. That's the kind of furniture that we had in this place. So I have seen the other side. I've seen what poor looks like, and I can tell you it is not a pretty place. And I've got some lessons to share with you that I think will make it a little bit different for you than it was for me. Because I learned one thing. I don't ever want to go back there again. It was way too painful, and it's not a good experience. Now, right now, we're living life a little bit differently. You see, when I give my wife people for Christmas. Amen. Now, watch this. A few years ago, ladies, just think about this for a minute. How many of you would love to have somebody come into your home and take care of everything? Not a maid, but a housekeeper. Yeah. Well, about 4 years ago, that's what my wife got for Christmas. The gift that keeps on giving. So 3 to 4 times a week, we have someone come in and take care of all the bare necessities of life. And it's a wonderful thing. And then about a year later, I got someone to come in and take care of the yard. Guys, how many of you like that deal? All right. At the corporate headquarters, mind you, they have to take care of the yards, just like they do at all corporate headquarters. The owner of this place doesn't come in and take care of this place, do they? No. They have people that come in and do that. So we hired another person. And then a year ago, we hired another person. And this is somebody to come and have us work out. Now, this is not as much fun as the housekeeper. In fact, just imagine this. 3 times a week, somebody shows up at your doorstep ready to work you out. See, I thought about this. I've joined the clubs. I've done all that stuff. And you know it. You don't go, do you? Just don't get around to it. There's a lot of other more important things that come up, and it just distracts you away from it. Well, me too. I understand that. So I said, if we don't have somebody come and force us to do it, then it's not going to get done. So now we look out the door and go, oh God, he's here. We're going to have to go to work. So life is a little bit different for me now because I play the Monopoly game for real. Now, in the Monopoly game, when you gather a color group together, what can you do? Build houses, right? And when you build 4 houses, what can you do? Build a hotel. So that's what we did. Built one from the ground up, a Holiday Inn, and had the experience of finding out what the business of the hotel business is all about. And I learned some valuable lessons from building a hotel. I learned about profit centers. And I learned about how to create a lot of different streams of income that are not the way that it looks like. So, for example, this hotel, you think that this ballroom makes them money. You think that the rooms upstairs make money. They do. But there's a lot more to the story. There's the restaurant. There's leasing. There's those Coke machines and vending machines, candy and popcorn and all that nonsense. They've got so many streams of revenue in this place, and you're not even in touch with how they make money. For example, newspapers. The telephone, right? $1 per call? Give me a break. Does that sound like a profit center? Well, that's what we've done. We've taken all those various profit centers or ideas for profit centers, and we've put it into our real estate business. And we've created our real estate business to be multiple streams of income. So I'm going to share that with you tonight. In fact, let me share with you another little project that we're doing here in Atlanta in my quest to play the Monopoly game. This is a little project in downtown Atlanta. I don't know if some of you came through downtown and you saw a big bridge being built across the interstate from what's called Midtown Atlanta to an area where there used to be a steel mill. Well, we own or have assembled 13 different tracts of land into a 4.2 acre tract. So it covers 2 blocks of an area of downtown, and it's at the entrance of a 140 acre project known as Atlantic Station. So we put together some options, and we were able to option with these various landowners 13 different tracts of land. And it's a powerful way to buy property. In fact, those options are worth about $6 million. How many of you want to learn how to do that? Okay. I'm going to share with you some ideas tonight on how you can do this too. But there's an important lesson here. If I were dependent upon that for our income, we would be in bankruptcy court. In fact, we'd be done with bankruptcy court now. We wouldn't have any money left. So what I'm going to teach you is how to build a foundation of income and a foundation of wealth so that you can go play any game you want to play. And that includes go anywhere you want, anytime you want, stay as long as you want, and do whatever you want to do. With whoever you want. How's that? The idea is that I want you to learn about the foundations of income so you can do anything. And if it's not your idea to do something like this, that's okay. But you can have some dreams and some visions that you don't have to necessarily live up to someone else's life and the lifestyle. So what I'm going to give you is the plan to have what you want. And it starts with a strategy. And it's a pretty detailed strategy, and a lot of you are going to want to take notes tonight because I've got a lot of different ideas to share with you in a very limited amount of time, so I'm going to have to go as quickly as I can. But we're going to start off with something called the wealth strategy. And the wealth strategy is designed to create income for you, but this is an overall plan of wealth. And this plan of wealth is going to generate exactly what we're talking about so that you have the freedom to do anything you want. Because you're here at the boot camp, you've learned a lot about different technical aspects of this business. But what I'm going to give you is an overall strategy that we're going to live into so that you can play any game you want to play. Now let's start off with leverage. One of the beauties of the real estate business is that you can create leverage with real estate. In fact, it doesn't match any other investment on the planet that I've found. Now, let's just think about it for a second. How many of you have ever invested in the stock market? How many of you are thrilled with your investments in the stock market over the last 3 years? Oh, amazing. One hand. Okay. Things have changed. Times when things were going up, everybody was all excited about the stock market, and basically that was their future. I instructed my students 3.5 years ago that I was getting out of the stock market. I was cashing in everything I had in stocks, and I was putting everything in real estate. Now, that was 3.5 years ago, and I haven't looked back. Haven't put another dime in the stock market since. And I'm very happy about that. Now let's just think about this for a second. When you borrow money against your stocks, how much will the stock brokerage house lend you? 50%. That's pretty much true. The brokerage houses are going to lend you 50% against the stocks that you own. So if you have $100,000 worth of stock, they're going to lend you $50,000. So all you have to bring to the table is $50,000 cash, and they'll lend you the other $50,000. Now let's think about real estate. When you buy real estate, how much will they lend you? What percentage of the value of the real estate will the bankers lend? 80, 85, 90, 95, 100%, even higher, up to 125% of value. And you got to think about this for just a second like I did. What do the bankers know? Real estate is a safe place to put money. What do the stockbrokers know? Stocks is not a safe place to put money because they're only going to lend 50% of value. So keep that in mind as you're assessing where you're going. There is not a better place to put your money and to have the most leverage in any investment than the real estate game. Now what we're doing is taking advantage of all the different scenarios that are available to us in an investment called real estate that cannot be duplicated, as far as I'm concerned, in any other field. Now watch this one. How many of you in here still work for someone else? Still on the rat race? Anybody ever feel like you're on the rat race when you're on that little cage and you're just running? You get up in the morning and you wipe your face and you take a shower and you do your thing and then you're ready to get in the car. And you get in the car and you're half brain dead and you drive down the road and you see the same people to the left and to the right. Have you had that experience? You're driving down the road and you look over and you see the same people right beside you. That's frightening. They're on the same hamster wheel that you're on. I woke up one day. I said, oh my God, what kind of a rat race am I in? And I realized that I hate traffic. And I hate being in traffic. And I hate the time that it takes to get somewhere because of the waste of time. Because I'm not creating anything with my energy. Now you start to think about the amount of time that you're investing with your job, and you start to think about what it takes you to do that job, suddenly you start to look at your life a little bit differently. Because I want you to understand something. Whenever you're working for someone else, you're always working wholesale. They have to be able to make a profit off of your energy. And if they can't make a profit off your energy, they don't need you. Any of you who get billed out by the hour know what I'm talking about, don't you? You get billed out at $50, $80, $100, $200 an hour, and they're paying you far less than that, aren't they? Well, you start to pay attention to how your life is operating. Then I want you to watch how different your life would be if you were investing those hours every day in your own business. And you treat this like a business, and you have 10 to 12 hours a day to invest in your future. Now suddenly everything's different because you're going to be able to generate so many deals so quickly it'll make your head swim. Now, the reason that I'm talking about this is because I want to show you a way to get out of the job, and it's going to involve some things. Over in our leverage side, we're going to buy property, sell property, hold property. We're going to use buy offers and deal structuring to structure deals that allow us to take control of property for far less than the normal person pays. You see, the average person, when they're buying a piece of real estate, goes out there in the world. They hire a realtor to run them around, pick out a few properties. Generally, they're going to offer close to retail. They might offer less, but they're going to end up close to retail on it. They're going to go to the bank. They're going to qualify for a loan, 90, 100% loan, and they're going to get a 30-year mortgage against that property. That's not how I do business. Now listen up. I'm 27 years in the business, never been to the bank for bank financing. Now, I've done over 1,000 real estate transactions. Never been to the bank for financing except for apartment buildings where those apartment buildings had non-recourse financing. You see, one of the things you'll get from me is the truth about this industry. It is cyclical. Things get good, things get bad. Things get good, things get bad. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that there have been some bad times in this business, and a lot of people have gone bankrupt because they had the wrong financing on their property. You see, I've had apartment buildings where we had 50% vacancy. We would let people move in if they could fog a mirror. How much you got? Good enough. Move on in. We've seen bad times. We know bad times. And I can tell you something. This business is extremely forgiving. We've made a ton of mistakes, and we've made them all make money over time. So there's an old saying, time wounds all heals, or heals all wounds. So keep that in mind as you buy your real estate. I've got one word to describe your success in the real estate business. Survival. If you can survive, you will win. But survival is the key. If you make one wrong move early in the game, you're going to be wiped out. There's not going to be enough for you to be able to recover for most of us. So I want you to be taught how to do this business very carefully so that you don't make those wrong moves. So I talk about how you're going to make your income, because that's the game, isn't it? If we're going to leave a job, we have to have dependable monthly income that will take the place of our job income. And so that's part of the training that we're going to go through tonight. Now, as we go through the system, let's talk about tax benefits. One of the things that real estate can give you is tax relief. Never pay taxes again. How many of you want that routine? There's a way to do that. Can you imagine that? Congress created some fake deal long ago called depreciation. Let me tell you where that came from. The government found out what lousy property managers they were. And they found out that property management for most people, including them, is a tough game. And you can lose a lot of money and you can have a lot of problems. Well, we went a different direction. We learned how to do property management so that it could be fun. How many of you think property management can be fun? Yeah, baby! We make a lot of money in property management because we know how to do it. And we create a little system to make sure that property management is fun and profitable. You see, I operate under the ELF theory. Easy, lucrative, and fun. If it doesn't fit with that in that criteria, I'm not interested. So just keep that in mind as we go through this. Everything I'm telling you fits within easy, lucrative, and fun, or I'm not going to do it. Now, see, I'm a simplify guy. I want to simplify the ways that we do business so we have more free time or more time to create more of what we like to do. You see, my hobby is real estate. I feel that I became successful in 1983 when I said, take this job and... Yeah, baby. Take this job and... 1983 is when I became successful. Now, I didn't become financially free just then. It took a little while. But I had real estate already at that time because I had figured out the role of creating that income in order to get financially free. So we're going to create some tax benefits with this real estate. And, of course, if you buy and hold property, you get those tax benefits. Now, if you flip property, folks, you got a partner in every deal that you do. Who is it? Uncle Sam, who's going to take a hunk of money much as 30%, plus, don't forget, your state. You got to account for all your state expenses and what they're going to charge you for flipping that property. But if you buy and hold property long term, it's like a tree that grows year after year after year after year after year. Now, if you have a forest of trees, do you pay on the growth of those trees? No. You get the benefit of the growth of the trees. Well, this is the same way with real estate that you hold on to. See, folks, I'm going to reveal to you, I'm a buy and hold guy. I thoroughly, completely believe in it because I know the numbers. I'm a standing testimony to tell you that financial freedom rests in keeping the real estate, not selling it. And I don't want you to sell the goose that lays the golden egg. You just think about it. So, Lou, I got this hot deal. I'm going to make 20 grand on this deal. All I got to do is sell it. Well, let's talk. What if you bought it right with a good interest rate, or you took subject to the existing loan and you took over that property and you got control of that property? And you didn't have to go to the bank and qualify for a loan. Or we get the owner to carry back financing. And I've got unique ways that we get the owners to carry back financing, what? At 0% interest. And sometimes 0 payments, 0 interest. How many of you like that deal? Yeah, baby. Okay. So if we can control real estate where the financing is right, I don't want you to sell it. Because we did our job in the beginning. We set it up right so that we don't have to spend the earnings that we created. You see, I live under a philosophy that I want to do something today that has a future to it. So if I create a deal today, I'd like to get some benefit from that deal from now on, the rest of my life, if I choose to. Generally, most of us go through 3 phases in this business. We go through an acquisition phase, a maintenance phase, and a liquidation phase. And this is happening all around you at all times. One of my most favorite ways to buy property is from other people who have discovered the very things I'm sharing with you. I love to buy packages from burned out landlords who are in the liquidation phase. Some of them are in the acquisition phase, but they haven't learned what you're learning this weekend, so we're here to serve. We just go ahead and buy the property from them. Now, let me share with you that we're going to cover some ground on how we do things. In fact, we're going to talk about some profit centers. I'm going to come back to the wheel shortly. We've got a number of different profit centers in how we buy property. Now, when we're going through our system, I'm going to have to skip through some things here, but let me share a couple of things with you. We've got a deal finding checklist. Now, here in Atlanta, Georgia, we have the hottest market in the country for real estate investors. We have the most competition here as any place I've found in North America. Why? We have the world's largest investors association. Over 3,200 dues-paid members of our local association. How many of you think we got competition here? Just get the Sunday paper and look at the I Buy Houses ads. I buy houses, I buy houses, I buy houses. I threaten to put an ad in there that says, "Me too." You can drive down the street in Atlanta, Georgia, and you see things called bandit signs. Have you heard about bandit signs this week? Yeah, baby. Those make money. Now, you'll see in Atlanta bandit signs that say, "I buy houses, I buy houses, I buy houses." And you come around to the other side, "I buy houses, I buy houses, I buy houses." All different numbers. That's the kind of competition that we've got here. And yet, we're able to buy 3 to 5 houses a month and not be in competition with anyone else. How many of you want to know how we do that? We've got unique ways that we find these properties that are not in competition with everyone else. I'm going to share just a couple of them with you. For example, one of the most overlooked areas for real estate investors is the classified ads. You don't realize that newspaper is changing every single day. The marketplace changes every single day. And I want you to devote some time to looking, circling ads, and calling people on the phone. I want you to get experience with talking to strangers. And get experience with getting comfortable with talking to strangers. Because we make a lot of money talking to strangers. Now, another thing I want you to do is look at the for rent ads. I want you to call landlords. I know the house says it's for rent, but ask them, would you happen to have any property for sale? I'm a real estate investor and I'm interested in anything that you might have available. Now, what often happens is we talk to burned out landlords who say, everything's for sale. And one of my favorite ways to buy is in packages, because I get huge discounts. You just think about it for a second. If you were a burned out landlord and you had an opportunity to offload your entire portfolio to some Shimoleon that didn't have a clue, you might do that. In fact, you as the landlord might be willing to carry back owner financing. In fact, you may be so burned out, you may not even require a large down payment or any down payment. We just bought a 13-house package in Tennessee. See, you can buy outside of your back door too. And we hired a property manager to take over those properties. It was in an estate. See, that's another favorite place that we buy properties, not in competition with other people. We talk to attorneys, probate attorneys, divorce attorneys. In fact, we send them postcards and letters. We get in relationship with these people. We offer to pay them referral fees because we want them to send us the referral. You know what? They often won't take a referral fee. Why? Conflict of interest. Why would they call you? Because if their client sells their property, they get paid. So there's a reason for them to work with you and there's a reason for them to deal with you. So there's a number of different ways that we use to generate deals. In fact, another thing we do is we use bird dogs. We have people going out banging on doors of vacant houses, of neighbors around vacant houses, people in foreclosure who have been advertised in the newspaper, people who have given us leads. You see, we've got some nice people inside lending organizations like American General and all the different beneficial finance, all these small agencies that have the offices in the local shopping centers. Guess what? Those managers are responsible for the production and the collections of that one office. So they are wonderful allies for us, and they call us with leads of people that are behind in payments. Because if we come along and take over the house subject to the existing loan, and we bring it current, and we start making the payments, they're happy as a lark. And our sellers are happy too, because they're in some kind of financial distress, and now they've offloaded their problem onto us. Now, of course, we buy them right. We buy them because there's a good equity in the property, there's a good cash flow in the property, or both. And I'm going to show you some of the different ways that we buy. But I just wanted to share with you some of the different unique ways that we're able to do business in a market that is highly competitive right here. In fact, you know, here's some samples of postcards that we use. We use letters and flyers and different things that we can generate those leads. Now, I want you to think about something that we are as individuals, real estate investors. We have a little credibility gap. We don't have storefronts. We aren't connected. We don't have a big background, most of us. In fact, how many of you in here are just getting started? Wow. How many of you in here have bought one investment property? 2, 5, 10, 20. Yeah, baby. Okay. Well, most of you in here are new. You're just getting started. So credibility is a big issue because you don't have a lot of testimonials. You don't have a big background. Nobody knows you. You can't call on other people. Well, I discovered that when I was putting people to knock on doors and create deals for me so that I didn't have to be the one to create deals. And they're called bird dogs. I had college students and different people, just housewives, anybody I could get to do it, knock on doors and bring us leads. And I gave them something called a credibility kit. Now this credibility kit, just think about it for a second. How many of you in here have ever been approached by, an insurance salesman or a gutter salesman or something like that, come to your home and make a presentation? How many of you in here have ever had that happen? Did they have a pitch book? They always had a pitch book, didn't they? Why? To keep them on point, to tell you a story about who they are, what they do, how they operate, and how they can help you. The unique things about how they do business, hitting all the psychological questions that you have in your mind about, are these people credible? Should I give them any money? Should I do any business with them? How many of you ever had concerns like that when you're doing business with somebody that you didn't have a clue who they were? Right? You've had that experience? Yeah. Me too. So I thought, why can't we have a pitch book? So what I created is something that you could actually insert your own name on there, your company name, and your name down at the bottom. By the way, that's CRI, that's Certified Realty Investor. That is the designation that you get when you graduate my 5-day boot camp. It's the Certified Realty Investor Boot Camp. And we take you soup to nuts through the business of real estate investing and how you create cash flow. So this is designed to solve problems for you. Now, you get a little bit of credibility too, by the way, when you get some initials after your name. I've had people tell me, I make a presentation to them and I make an offer to them. And they say, yeah. And I say, how does that look to you? And they say, I don't know. You're the one with the initials after your name. What do you think? Yeah, baby. I think this is exactly the deal that you ought to do. And it brings us deals. So credibility is very important. And of course, this tells a little story about who we are, what we do, how we operate, the whole 9 yards, how we can help you. We have the know-how. We have the attorneys. The real world for sellers following the traditional selling process. It'll take you 6 months on average to sell your home. You're not going to get full list price. And we start to we start to explain to them how the business works and how they're really going to have a little pain and suffering as they go through doing this business. And why should you follow conventional wisdom when you want to move now? And then we give you a little testimonials. Now you're going to say, Lou, those are not my testimonials. I know that. They're my testimonials. But I'm sharing them with you. And what you can do is say, these are deals that colleagues of ours have done. It's called fake it till you make it. Use mine until you get your own. When you get your own, you just pull this up on disk, you insert your digital photo of a deal that you've done, and you put in the testimonial. Thanks for making it easy to sell. We can now get our loan to buy our new house. In fact, we've got several of them like that, talking about people from all walks of life, what kind of problems they've had. We don't know what we would have done without you bailing us out. We surely would have lost money or been foreclosed. And we talk about the types of offers we can make. Now, this is a cheat sheet for you. If your home has a mortgage, if your home has no mortgage, customize an offer, all that kind of stuff. Oh, look at this one. We'll take over payments and give you debt relief. Does the printed word have power? Oh, yeah. It tells the story to the seller about who you are and what you can do and how you can operate. And then another little cheat sheet for you. What we need to make an offer. Your house papers. And then I actually give you the list of things that you need to get from that seller. Now, the pièce de résistance is how we're going to convince the seller that they ought to give us the discount. Now, think about this for just a second. What if we had a guideline that we use? See, my personality type is to act as a counselor with those sellers. I like to sit down with other human beings and talk about human problems and talk about their issues and how I can help them solve their issues. Meanwhile, helping me down life's road as well. And you know what? People don't mind that. You should never pretend that you're not making a profit in the deal. In fact, if you're not making a profit, I don't want you doing the deal. Stay away from it. You're not a charity. This is your business. So we actually act as counselors, and we take people through the process of calculating what it's going to cost them to sell their home. And we actually put their number on there and then calculate all the numbers. Some of them won't apply, but most of them will. We get down to a final number, and that's the beginning point in our negotiation. Did you get that? You see, this nonsense about going into people that have a $100,000 house and telling them, I'll pay you $70,000 doesn't work. People, well, it works in some cases, but in a lot of cases people go, here's the door. You can find your way out. Get off my property, because you didn't handle them right. You've actually got to justify your discount. So that's what I do here. Justify the discount, get down to the final number. Then we say, now you understand that if I were to sell the house the traditional way, these would be my expenses as well, wouldn't they? Hello? Yeah, these are my expenses. So you understand that I'm in this business to make a profit. What do you think would be a fair profit for me to make? Now, what do you think they say? 5,000 or 10,000 or 5% or 10% is usually the answer I get. Do I care what they say? No. Whatever they say, we take that off the bottom, and that's now the beginning point in the negotiation. How many of you like this deal? Okay. In fact, this is from one of my boot camps. This is a deal. We started off at $400,000, and we worked through this whole process with a seller on the phone, and we got down to the final number. He was going to get $6,687. Now, there's a little spread between $313,000 and $400,000, isn't there? Does that sound like a profit? Especially if you don't sell your house the traditional way. So some of the things we're going to talk about tonight is the way that we deal with our property, the way that we don't sell our houses in the traditional way. So you can see that this is a very important tool. How many of you think this is an important tool? Yeah. You got to have tools to do this business. Tools that make money, don't cost money, make money. Now, we're going to talk about some interesting things, because the other thing that we do, whenever we have bird dogs go out there, or we answer the telephone and we talk to people, we ask questions. We got a little seller questionnaire. Now I'm going to give you a little training here, so listen up. Of course, we get the details about the property, but one of the most important questions you can ever ask is, what is your situation? And then I want you to use another tool. The secret of making great deals. Shut up! Shut up and listen! Because these people are about to tell you how you can buy that house way below market. If you'll just shut up and listen. And you get plugged in, and you get excited, and they're not saying anything, so you feel like you got to say something, and you start talking, and you talk yourself right out of the deal. You got to stop doing that. Listen to these people. Write down what they say. Write down everything they say. Flip over the page and keep writing. Because they're going to tell you some really valuable stuff that you're not cogitating right now. And when you go back and look at those things, like my son's in jail and I need bail money, or the sale on the house is Tuesday and you can buy the house today, you're going to have some information that you can use to be able to create the deal. Now, this has been a powerful lesson. So I actually have this for you. So I want you to put this on your computer screen. I want you to put it at your feet. I want you to put it beside the phone. Everywhere you are about to talk to a seller, you put that. Because that's the keys to the kingdom, folks. They will tell you exactly how you can buy that house if you'll listen. Now, it takes some training to know what they said and convert that into how you can create a deal. I understand that. One of the things that we gather is all the details about the existing financing on that property. Are you looking to sell your house for what you owe on it? Yes. Yay. As long as your house qualifies, what we do is take over your payments for you until we get the house sold. Will that work for you? Yes. Good. Then I'll need a little information. And we go ahead and get all the details about their property and about their existing financing. Because one of my favorite ways to buy property is to take over their existing loan that's in their name, that they qualified for, that's on their credit report, that I'm not obligated to. And we've only been doing this for 27 years. See, back in the day, they didn't have such a thing as a due on sale clause. You just had assumable loans, and they were fully assumable. Well, that all changed and got really ugly. So we had to create a system for solving that little problem, and we did. And it creates lots of money for us. By the way, if they won't talk, you ask more questions. I got lots of questions. So you don't get off the phone if the numbers look good and if their situation looks good. You see, I believe a lot in follow-up. Follow-up, follow-up, follow-up. The gold is in the follow-up. So I don't want you to flush deals that you have the possibility of doing, because your follow-up is so powerful. So you call them back the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh time. And I guarantee you, you're going to find more often than not, your follow-up will create a deal just because you happen to call on a given day when the wife and the husband were talking just the night before or just a few minutes ago about you. By the way, when you think you left your number and they've still got it, they don't got it. They lost it. It's with the McDonald's cups and the crapola, and it's sitting and it's in the garbage can. They don't have your number. I know you left it. Forget about that. You have a responsibility to call them back. I've made so many deals on the fourth, fifth, and sixth call. So this is critical to your future to be able to get these deals. Hey, it's hard. You know, we create these deals. We got opportunities. Now, we got a unique thing happening right now. I know Jeff talked to you earlier about short sales. I'm going to show you something about how we do short sales and how it's made a ton of money for us. In fact, let me just show you this. My partner, Bruce Beasley, put some of this on PowerPoint so that I could get through it fast. And we're going to... Oops! Wrong one. Well, typical. Any of you got one of these things at home? Aren't they great? In some cases. Now, let's see. Oh, there you go. Home foreclosures at a 30-year high. Record percentage of U.S. homeowners are facing foreclosure, and it ain't going no more. Okay, there we go. There we go. During April, May, and June of last year, 1.23% of mortgages, about 640,000 mortgages, were in foreclosure. Highest rate in 30 years of tracking by the Mortgage Bankers Association. This is a bonanza, folks. This is an unbelievable way to generate profits. Better than, see, remember I've been around for a while. We had the RTC back in the mid-'80s. Anybody remember the RTC? Resolution Trust Corporation. That's where the government created a corporation, piled together a whole bunch of bad stuff in one pile, and sold it off for pennies on the dollar. Well, they saw this thing coming, and Fannie Mae mandated all their lenders to create something called a loss mitigation department. And those loss mitigation departments now are mandated to solve these problems in advance. In fact, this is that's just where they're happening at. Stages of foreclosure: denial, right? Notice, they get notified. Advertisement, auction, and REO, when it goes back to the bank after the auction. So, denial, of course. Let's see here. There we go. Now, what's happening is the lenders are sending letters to the borrowers. Remember that show, Let's Make a Deal? They're sending a letter that says, let's make a deal. Watch this one. Your loan has been reviewed by our foreclosure committee and has been approved for referral to the foreclosure department. Congratulations! We would like to help you understand your options to stop foreclosure. If there's been a financial hardship that has affected your ability to pay the mortgage, you may be eligible to participate in our mortgage workout program. Now, they give us some interesting stuff here. They'll do a loan modification. They'll do a partial claim. They'll do a short sale or a deed in lieu of foreclosure. They put it in writing. They said, give us a call. This is what we're willing to do. And, of course, the short sale is the one that we've been focusing on because that's made us the most money. I want to share with you a quick deal that I've done. That's one that we've done recently. That was well, I'll show you the numbers on this, but we'll just flip through the property a little bit. That's the back of the property. That's inside. Rather large house. Got sun porch and all that good stuff. A little dated kitchen. But a lot of things are done right in there, too. Recessed lighting, track lighting, double pane windows, all the good stuff. Some nice woodwork, some dated bathrooms and things like that. But it's got some goodies going on with it. Well, I went past it, but the piece of land that we have also has an ability to cut off a piece of it. So there's actually deals inside of deals once you get properly trained on it. There it is. So I'm going to cut this leg off. In fact, we've already done it down here, because what's that down there? That's a corner, isn't it? So I'm going to keep that little piece of land because someday somebody's going to come along and want to build a pharmacy there because it's actually zoned commercial. So I can either go residential or commercial with this property. Well, that's interesting, but that's not nearly interesting enough. Here's the numbers. How much can I make from a short sale? Let's look at these numbers. The first mortgage was $285,000. The second mortgage, $160,000. We had back taxes, $8,000. We had repairs of about $8,000. Total of $461,000. Only problem is, I had estimated the market value at about $450,000. Sounds like a bad deal, doesn't it? Before you came to this event, How many of you, if you were looking at this deal, would have walked from it? Yeah, of course you would have. There ain't no money there. Well, let me show you what we were able to do with the bank. Using some methods that I'm going to share with you in just a second, we got $236,000 on the first mortgage. Yeah, baby! $21,500 on the $160,000 second mortgage, and of course, no reduction in the back taxes and no reduction in the repairs. And our whole buy was $265,500. Now, that really gave us an opportunity to make some money, didn't it? All because of the structure that we put in place. What I'm sharing with you here is there is a method that you can use to be able to approach these lenders. But you've got to have the right package. You see, my approach is not to ask the lenders for their package, and then they send their package to me, and then I get all the stuff together and send it back to them. I start with sending them my package. And I'm going to share with you how that package... How many of you want to see that package? Okay, good. I'm going to show you exactly how this works. Here's the numbers. All right, we got the $257,500. We got closing costs. We had our taxes and repairs. Our holding costs, right? Because you have holding and sales costs for $299,500. So that's $150,000 profit on that one property. How many of you could just take the rest of the year off? Right? Well, I love this business so much, I just can't take the year off. See, this is my hobby. I'm letting you in on a little secret. This is my hobby. I'm not working. I'm having fun. Okay. So we start with, oh, and by the way, these are just the letters from the lenders that told us how much they would accept, satisfaction of mortgage, all that good stuff that we got from the lenders. One of the most critical pieces that you have in doing a short sale is you must have what's called a HUD-1. It's a closing statement. And you need to provide the HUD-1 to the lender that tells them exactly what the scoop is and exactly what the numbers are. You see, they want to know the contract sales price, and they want to know how much is going to the seller. And if there's anything down there other than zero, they're not going to do your deal in most cases. You see, they're saying, wait a minute, if there's money going to the seller, that's our money, because we're the one reducing our mortgage. If we're going to reduce our mortgage, if there's any money on the table, it's ours, right? So you got to be careful that you do your HUD-1 right. Now, what we're going to show you here is follow the system, follow the checklist, and we actually got a checklist. And I give you a little kit that explains the whole thing to you, step by step, and it's got the cover sheet for every one of these forms, the blanks, it's got the filled-in forms, it's got the whole thing on disk, it's all done for you. Nothing to have to worry about. But I'm actually going to show you, there's a cover letter that we send to the lender. And this is simply a story that we tell to the world, to the lender, exactly what we want them to do. And the cover letter includes the enclosures of exactly what we're enclosing in that letter and what we want the lender to do. In fact, that's what it looks like. And see, this is from us, from LD Gelt now. You like that one? To Fleece Home Mortgage. Now, of course, when you pull this up on disk, you're supposed to change those things. Okay? Don't send it to Succum Drive, North Carolina, either. Enclosed, we have prepared what we believe to be the items you need in order to make a decision regarding. Now, I want you to just listen up, folks. I've had students get this, and 2 hours later, get a committed, agreed-to short sale from the lender. Because they gave the lender what they needed in order to make a decision. You see, I got inside of these lenders and I found out what Fannie Mae required them to do in order to make a decision about a short sale. So the hundreds of lenders out there are operating in different ways inside their own organization, but basically they've got basic fundamental criteria that they need to have in order to do the deal. So you see down there at the bottom is the enclosures, the whole bit. Now there's the authorization to release information. Now, of course, that's just a form that gives our seller our authorization to talk with that lender. And, of course, that's signed by them. By the way, all this is on disk, so you can alter it before you go visit the seller. You actually have the details all done. I know a lot of you have questions, so I'm going to ask you, if you would, make a note of those questions. I'm going to be glad to answer those questions after we end this evening. I'll be in the back, and I'm going to be around. In fact, how many of you are going to be here Saturday for Chris Kirshner? Okay, good. Well, me too. In fact, Chris started with me 2 years ago. He started in my buying, selling, and holding class, and he's been through all my boot camps, and he started with the whole enchilada just 2 years ago. 2 years ago. The first month, oh, by the way, watch this one. He started in January, at the end of January. He listened to the tapes. He followed the system. At the end of March, he quit his job, his high-paying job. He's vice president of a company. In April, he did 4 deals, netting him over $80,000 in cash and equities on those deals. And one was a lease option, one was agreement for deed, one was subject to, and one was owner financing. And he said, Lou, I would never have known all those different ways to create the deals had I not learned from you. He said, the only way I ever knew how to create a deal was to go to the bank and borrow money. How many of you thought that was the only way you went to make deals? Okay, we're going to change all that. Change the way you do business. So we've got one thing here, a standard real estate purchase and sale agreement. Now, there's nothing standard about it, okay? We've got unique documentation. But this is a document that's been designed for a short sale. And it actually gives all the wording to make sure that you don't get hung with a property that you don't want to buy if they don't give you the short sale. And we've got all the other things. There's offer of intent to purchase. If you don't want to do a full contract because you're nervous about buying that property, good, then we got a different one for you. It's just a basic one-page document that doesn't make anybody nervous. Full contract might make somebody nervous. A little bit different deal here. Now we've got a hardship letter. Now watch this one. It's all done for you. One of the things you got